Welcome everyone to It Tastes Different News. And guess what's happening tonight? It's been happening for a while. Ubisoft going down in flames, as usual. Immortals Fenyx Rising 2 is supposedly, reportedly being canceled. Reportedly. Oh, that's a hard word to say. Ubisoft has basically said it's pivoting to its established franchises. And what we know is that Fenyx Rising didn't trend very well, so they basically announced that they're doing some transitioning of people from one studio to the next, and a lot of people are basically saying that Fenyx Rising 2 is not going to be happening now because of this. It didn't basically do well for them. It was like okay sales from them, from everything I could find, numbers and everything like that. The majority of sales were from massive sales of the game when the game was on sale. And so I think something was basically the majority of sales came when the game was not full price. So that kind of sucks for them. But they're also kind of comparing it against Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So that's kind of a tough place to be in. If you're comparing this against an established AAA franchise, you're probably not going to do very well if you're thinking it's going to generate the same amount of money, because not the same amount of marketing and the same amount of money goes into that game as like Valhalla. And I think Valhalla was not that great of a game to begin with, but I think Fenyx Rising was a darn good game. Since all the rumors were starting to go around, Ubisoft, in Ubisoft fashion, gave a very cryptic response. They basically said, as part of our global strategy, we are redirecting and reallocating some creative teams and resources within the Quebec studio. That's the studio that made the Fenyx Rising game, to other unannounced projects. Ubisoft said in a statement issued to IGN, the expertise and technologies these teams have developed will serve as an accelerator for the development of these key projects focused on our biggest brands. Fenyx Rising is not a biggest brand for them. And they said at that time, we have nothing further to share at this time. So without saying we're not doing anything with it, they basically said we're not doing anything with it because it's not one of their biggest franchises. It's kind of like read between the lines, right? It's not a biggest franchise, so we're not doing anything with it. And I will say that probably the majority of people were like, what is this Fenyx Rising game? And a lot of them bought it while it was on sale. It was reportedly in development, so there was no confirmation that it was in development too, as well. So a lot of this is some hearsay, but yeah, kind of somewhat verified, verified sources and things like that. And like I said, it reportedly sold mostly during moderate amount of discount. So I don't know what to say about that. I thought the game was pretty good. We played it. I thought it was short and sweet. It wasn't the typical Ubisoft flood of crap. It was like straight to the point for most of the story, and the humor, the narrator and the humor was on point. Great game. At least I thought so. And this is true Ubisoft fashion. I think earlier in the year, they announced that they had canceled 3 other unannounced titles. Ubisoft is just kind of going down in flames right now. They just keep focusing on like pumping out more Assassin's Creed garbage. We got Mirage. I think it's still slated to come out this year. I don't remember what the date is, but it's coming out this time. I think they've played Assassin's Creed to death, in my opinion. But we'll kind of let these guys filter in to see what they think. Shane, what do you think of Immortals Fenyx Rising, and what do you think about them canceling or possibly canceling the sequel to Fenyx Rising?
The original Fenyx Rising was better than Valhalla, in my opinion. I think the gameplay was was just fun. I think the combat system was fun. I think the story was hilarious and fun. It wasn't a 70-hour trip through walking through deserts and fighting squat, because that's all the Assassin's Creed had become, is just walking and walking and walking and then fighting and then walking. And Valhalla started off really strong for me, really strong. I really liked the way the game started off. It grabbed my attention right off the bat. And then it just let me go. And then that was it. It was nothingness. It was wandering, and the story didn't work anymore. I was not a fan. Phoenix Rising characters were great. Dialogue was perfect. I mean, it was a right blend of great storytelling with humor, and the way the characters all worked were just perfect. The open worldness was absolutely perfect. Only one other game I think did a better job recently of open world, and that was Ghost of Tsushima. Because that game, the open world on it was perfect. I mean, you couldn't beat that one. But Phoenix Rising had a great open world because it wasn't so massive that you felt like you got nowhere all the time. And that's the problem with Assassin's Creed, is just the worlds got bigger and bigger and bigger, but they didn't put more in it. They just made it longer to get anywhere. It's just an opinion, but that's just the way it was. And I haven't been a big fan of Assassin's Creed for a while. But I love this game. If it's true that they were working on a sequel and they're canceling it, it saddens me. The game did mediocre on sales, especially when you do want to compare it to a game like Valhalla, which was also a launch title. You cannot forget that. When you have launch titles, even if it's a piece of crap, it's still going to sell better than a non-launch title. If they'd have put that game out a year later, I don't think Valhalla would have sold as well. But I digress. It saddens me that Ubisoft, when they tried to do something different, but they kind of kept it in the realm, it did feel like a more humorous Assassin's Creed before Assassin's Creed just became too massive, and I loved it. And now they're going to concentrate on their money makers, which is Assassin's Creed. I mean, what else do they have besides Rainbow Six? I mean, Ghost Recon is going nowhere. I mean, first one was really good for the most part. Second one was a pile of crap. And they're going to concentrate on Assassin's Creed. They got like 4 in development last I heard. Mirage is the latest one coming out. Now, Mirage, I have a little hope for, because it is going to be more towards, from what I understand, more towards like Assassin's Creed 2 was to me, which was the best one. It was the right amount of open world with the right amount of character, and story and all that. And I hope that's what it is, because I would like to enjoy those games again, but I haven't been able to enjoy it for a while. So for them to try something new, and it did sell fairly well on the Switch, by the way. When they released Immortals Fenyx Rising on Switch, it sold relatively well. They were actually surprised. So it's not like there's not a player base for it, but what people want to call a failed game is kind of odd anymore. It's like, oh, it didn't outsell, God of War. It didn't outsell Assassin's Creed. That means it's a failure? No, it's not a failure. It just means it's a new game and a new market. Guardians of the Galaxy was another great game, but it didn't sell well. But I know there was other reasons for that. Not because it's a bad game. It's because, people are marveled out, and especially after the Avengers game. So, they tried something new with Immortals Fenyx Rising, and they nailed it. In my opinion, they nailed it. I love the game, but now they're just pissing it away. Pardon my language, but they're just pissing it away. And they're going to go right back to their tried and true wash, rinse, repeat bullcrap of Assassin's Creed. That game, I don't need to play that game for a long time. I'll play Mirage probably because we'll review it, but I'm going into it with no hopes whatsoever. Because when we reviewed Immortals, you guys liked it. Me and Russ, we loved it. We liked it more than you guys did. And I think that's one reason I'm more pissed off about it, because I really, really enjoyed the game. I really did. So now I'm sad and pissed off. Let's go to Nick.
Yeah. I mean, if Ubisoft wants to talk about a failed game, they should talk about Watch Dogs. Talk about a failed franchise. They can never get that thing off the ground, no matter how hard they tried.
And they did it 3 damn times.
When you do it 3 times and it fails all 3 times, I wouldn't be surprised if Watch Dogs 4 is a thing at some point.
That's a definition of insanity.
Ubisoft likes to fail. Ubisoft used to be.
I believe it's in the works, right? I believe
What?
they're talking about 2024, 2025 for the next Watchdog.
Gee, why? I mean, seriously. They've done 3 Watch Dogs and all 3 of them suck. I've played all 3. We've played all 3. All 3 of them are horrible. They're horrible games. They're not good. Just stop it. Stop it, Ubisoft. You make some good, when you make good games, Ubisoft, is when you take a chance and make something different. When you made, and this game is still going, but like when you made For Honor was a cool game. And it's still going on today. I mean, we used to play it quite a bit, but we don't play it anymore. But it was a cool game and a cool idea, right? The Immortals Fenyx Rising, it was somewhat similar to Assassin's Creed, but it was still a departure from the tried and true that you've kind of come to, and I appreciate that more, right? As a gamer, to see a company take something and try to make something different, right? Try to bring in new IPs and new franchises and just try to go different routes with things. But, I don't want another Assassin's Creed. For a long time, like Shane said, for a very long time, I am Assassin's Creed the hell out. I don't want one of those, and I don't want a Far Cry. I want you to make something completely new. Make something completely different. I don't want a new Ghost Recon. I don't want another Rainbow. I want something just unique. Just try something new. But instead, you're going to make, 20 Assassin's Creeds. Like, I feel like Ubisoft was like a band that made, they had some good albums and stuff. And then they got that one hit wonder, that one hit that it got played on the radio a lot. And then that's all they play now, right? They're doing live shows and they're just playing Assassin's Creed. Here comes Ubisoft. It was, yeah. And they play Assassin's Creed. And like, I like a song, but do you got to play it every time? Right? I mean, that's what Ubisoft feels like at this point. They just rinse and repeat the same game over and over and over. I mean, that's what Far Cry was great, but then that's what it became. And Assassin's Creed was great, but then that became that. And then they tried Ghost Recon. They tried to do it. Wetlands was an okay game. And then they said, hey, we can ride this gravy train. And they made Breakpoint, which was Broken Point, basically. That game was just broken to all get out. And it was basically the same game. It's like they just reskinned Wetlands and called it a new game.
They just dried it out.
Yeah, they dried it out. It's Drylands. But and then Rainbow Six Siege is still doing well for them. I guess I'll take it back on that one. I wouldn't mind a new Rainbow Six, but don't make an online one. I want the old Rainbow Six that was that story driven
Vegas
campaign. Yeah, something like Vegas or something like that, where it's story driven going through there. They were making one before they made Siege, which was Patriots, which looked really cool. And then they turned that into Rainbow Six Siege. Now, Rainbow Six Siege is a great game, but it's not the Rainbow Six I want, right? I don't want a Rainbow Six Siege 2. I want an actual Rainbow Six. If they made a new Ghost Recon, I would like it to be more in line with the older ones, right? And how those were. Or like was it Advanced Warfighter or something like that, one of those, and not what they did with Wetlands and Breakpoint, not the open world, whatever. I like the narrative driven because they were really cool, right? But Ubisoft, canceling this game, it doesn't surprise me, right? It doesn't surprise me. They're just too afraid to take any chances. They're too afraid to do anything other than the tried and true, right? Their bread and butter, I guess. They can copy paste Assassin's Creed and then bring out a new one. They don't have to do much work, right? I'm sure the people there do a lot of work on these games. I'm not the developers and illustrators and designers and stuff. I'm not bad mouthing them. I'm just bad mouthing the higher ups who are making these stupid decisions to make Assassin's Creed. I mean, I think they announced more than 4 of them. When it was like 6 of them or something like that they like talked about. Like,
I think 4 of them were like expansions for the next one or something like that.
It's
the one
like
announced like code name
Red Mirage. And then there was 2 others I know for sure.
Infinity was the next one that the code name Infinity is after Mirage. And then 3 DLCs or expansions like Red, Hex, and Invictus were the other code names.
Invictus.
Yeah,
but
so
I think
like
Invictus
4.
was another actual full-fledged game, if I remember correctly.
See,
it's been a while.
They're talking about the article that I read basically listed it under Infinity. That basically because they released like what for Valhalla they did the Druids, the Siege of Paris, the Viking Age, and Ragnarok. So they did 4 for that one alone. So who knows?
Yeah, and the latest one was supposed to be like in 1940 or 1970 or something. They're
going back to like the U.S. one. Like what was that? Was that Unity? Was that
Black
one?
Syndicate. Unity.
Syndicate. It was Syndicate. Yeah.
Now, see, the problem with rinse and repeat in these games is they're losing their story for one. The story has become so convoluted. I quit giving a crap after 3. I did, but I agree with Nick. If you're going to make another Rainbow, make a real Rainbow Six game, story driven, just like you said. Same thing. You could do the same thing with pretty much any game in the franchise. The problem with it though is I don't want all the same games again. I know what made them great, but now I want something new. And that's what they used to do. They used to make a great game, a great sequel, and then a new game that turned out to be really, really good. And then the sequel to that became great. And then they just stopped making originals, which a lot of companies are doing though, because they're all jumping on the, multiplayer, buy my skins, buy my gun, buy my medallion, buy my shark bucks, my V-bucks, my bucks. I mean, it's just stupid anymore. And it just sickens me that the game industry is doing this. And we can only blame 2 people, the investors and the people who kiss their asses. That's who's killing the game industry.
And the gamers, because they keep buying the crap that they're
and
putting
the gamers, yeah. But yeah, that's true. I mean, you got to blame the gamers too. I mean, if you love these games and you want to buy shark bucks and all that stuff and continue to do it, you have to remember that you are destroying the game industry when you do it, because you're getting rid of incentive to create new. And without new, things are just going to fall off and die. Plain and simple. Sorry, Nick. Didn't mean to interrupt you. You go ahead, sir. There's somebody behind you.
No, it's fine. In Assassin's Creed, would it be like ass coins or something? Anywho, so yeah, I mean they are, but I mean it is in some sense the gamers too, right? Because they can bring out a new Assassin's Creed every. It's just like Call of Duty. They can bring one of those out every year and Assassin's Creed out every 2 years or whatever, because people go out and buy them. And, I mean, the last Call of Duty was the most sold out of all the other ones. And it's like, sure. I mean, yeah, if you can just sit here and rinse and repeat them, then they're going to keep making
them. And
it
was a remake too. It's not even a new one. It was an actual remake, the last one.
Yeah. It's just like, it's like, even with, we don't play a lot of sports game, but like Madden, every year it's the same Madden as last year, but people go out and buy it. That's why they create a new one every year, or they put a new number on it, right? This is Madden 2024, Madden 2025. It's the same game as last time, but you'll go out and buy it. And sure enough, they will, and they'll continue to make those things. So, I mean, Ubisoft is making their money in that sense, but yeah, I mean, we have to vote with our wallet. Assassin's, for me personally, I mean, if we review it, that's fine. But for me personally, I don't give a crap about Assassin's Creed Mirage. I don't care when it comes out, how it comes out, or even if it's a 9 out of 10 from everybody out there. I don't care. I am so Assassin's Creeded out. I don't even want to see Assassin's Creed anymore. I just want to see like make something worth playing is all. I mean, because it's still no matter the problem with me is the problem I have is no matter what they do with Mirage, it's still going to be the same thing, right? Every Ubisoft game is structured in the same way with the same mess of a map with all sorts of icons everywhere and just like 1,000 things to do, but nothing at all, right? It's and it's just, I don't know. For me, it's just boring playing those games. It's like the same crap over and over and over again. I don't know. So for Mirage, I don't care about it.
Yeah. About the only way I could care about another Assassin's Creed game is if they try to follow in Ghost of Tsushima's footsteps with a little bit more and less Ubisoft, right? That's the only way it could be any interesting is if it's less Ubisoft. And it's a bad thing to say, but Ubisoft has the same formula. Let's do 40 hours worth of gameplay and 120 hours worth of garbage in the game. I mean, that's their philosophy. I mean, if you ever look at like a completion time to play an Ubisoft game, it's like 40 to 60 hours to do the story. And then it's like 140 hours to do the completionist. And it's because there's 100 hours of garbage in the game. And that's what they're known for. Ubisoft is the bloatware of today because that's all their game is bloatware. I mean, that's the same formula they even use for the Far Cry games. 30 hours worth of gameplay, 100 hours worth of garbage, you know, of like, go collect this, go collect 100 of those, go find this flower, go find this, go find that, go find all the birds, go find all the freaking towers and climb all of them and find all the flags and find your mom and your uncle and your brother. And it's dumb. You know,
the only way. Yeah, the only way I could get interested in it is they did it in augmented reality and somebody came up and finished me off. I mean, it's done. But, you know, look at the games that are coming out. I mean, there's not too many original games. And every time Ubisoft or pretty much anybody announces a new IP, it dies before it even gets off the ground. And if it does get off the ground and it gets into gamers' hands, it's such a bloated turd. Like, you know, it's Ubisoft. Everything is about 40 hours of looking around for the next, you know, page out of the book and then 10 hours of gameplay.
I mean, it really makes me worry about their games, right? Because, I mean, they got so many games in the pipeline. Like, they've got the new Star Wars game in the pipeline. Is that going to be just Ubisoft? Is that just Ubisoft? Because that's probably what it is going to be. It's going to be Ubisoft 30 hours worth of gameplay. Yeah. It's Ubisoft with lightsabers, right? Assassin's Creed with lightsabers, you know,
yeah,
because you're technically a bounty hunter.
But now you got a whole universe to throw crap in. I mean, you got nebulas and, you know, you got to go find this page on the sun.
I mean, because they still haven't done it. Wow, what the heck's going on with Skull and Bones? I mean, because that's newish. It's not new, right? I mean, it's based off of that. Skull and Bones is still not canceled. Maybe not. I don't know. You know, and then they also have the Prince of Persia game that's supposed to be coming out. I mean, I was really excited about that until the latest gameplay stuff, and I'm not as excited. But then, like I said, Star Wars Outlaws and the game that will never come out, but is never canceled, Beyond Good and Evil 2. And then, not to mention the upcoming Division Heartland. The first Division, amazing. The second version of Division sucked. It was garbage. But now they're gonna roll out a third one. So what is that gonna be like, right? So and then aren't they redoing something with Splinter Cell or making a new one or doing a remake or whatever? So
nobody knows. It's always a rumor. I mean, it's just like Sam Fisher. Is he real? Is he real?
But yeah, so I mean, you know, unfortunately, Ubisoft has a pattern to how they make games, and it doesn't change. It's 75 to 80% go collect random crap that has nothing to do with the main game, and then 15 to 20% of it is the game. I mean, that's the Ubisoft formula. We want to artificially inflate our game by making you have to collect so much garbage, you know, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse and worse over the time. You know, Valhalla was a huge disappointment. I didn't even finish it. I got hours into it and was like, I am completely bored and over this freaking thing. I don't think I played it much past our review because it was such a bad game. But that was just me. I don't know. What'd you think of Valhalla?
I didn't like it. Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of in the same boat that Shane was at the very beginning. I was kind of intrigued and stuff. But once you get, I think, because if I remember correctly, and it's been a while, so bear with me here, but at the very beginning, it was kind of somewhat linear and kind of structured. And then once you get to the continent, it just like throws up everywhere. And you're like, oh, yeah, this is a Ubisoft game. And that's where I'm like, there's so much things on the map. I don't want to do all this. And then that's where I kind of, I played and did some things and did some story beats and did some of the stuff on the map. And I just got tired of doing that stuff. And so I just gave up.
Yeah. Somebody vomited so they create a map. That's how Ubisoft works. They create a map of their new world environment. Then somebody pukes on it. And they're like, move that kernel of corn there, that carrot over there, those peas over there. We'll put all these chunks in this area. And there's your Ubisoft map. And then we'll start putting story beats in there.
Apparently it was a vegetarian that threw up on the map.
Yeah, well, they couldn't afford the meat,
Yeah, if they did something like Shane said, like something more like, I'll play a new Assassin's Creed. If they make it more like structured and linear, like it doesn't have to be completely linear. They can make it somewhat open world, but I'd rather have something where it's just like, kind of like the beginning of Valhalla, which was more like story beat type of thing, right? And that I enjoyed. I had fun. You could explore a bit, but it was kind of like this small little area that you kind of go through and do, and that was fun until the map throws up everywhere, and then you have all these things, and it's like, that's just too much. I don't want to do all this. But it's like, you could just follow the story beats, sure, but I want something more like, Ghost of Tsushima or something like that, where it's more like you're focused on your character and you're kind of going through this whole, it's taking you from story beat to story beat and not necessarily letting you have too much freedom to like just go and do 1,000, whatever the crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't mind open world game in that sense neither. I just don't. Yeah, I don't like that it's like the freedom to go wherever you want and do whatever you want. Except for that means 80% of the game is garbage. Is me just collecting junk because of some achievement or some perceived thing that I've got to get because it unlocks a piece of armor or a piece of color or clothing or something. I'm over that, and Ubisoft is only known for that, unfortunately. So every time we seem to talk about Ubisoft, it's about them doing something stupid. And here's another thing about them doing something stupid.
Yeah. So. And unfortunately, we hit a trend 5-6 plus years ago where everything had to, it's actually probably closer to 10. Everything has been having to go open world. Every goddamn game is open world now. And it's ridiculous. The new GTA 6 map is supposed to be like 3 times bigger than 5. Why? 5 was freaking huge. It was cool maps. It was a great map, but why does it have to be that much bigger? And then, the DLC for it's supposed to be like whole other cities.
Not why it has to be that big, right? Why they do that, right?
So you can buy the shark cards and pay for the gas.
So they can justify that $70 initial price tag for our game because it's now a 140-hour game, but it's 30 hours worth of actual story. That is, and people may think that that's over exaggeration, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla is 60 hours story and 143 hours to complete the game. Over 50%, more than 50% of that game, like 65% of that game is garbage, is inflated junk. And then when we're talking like Odyssey, I think Odyssey was 45 hours and 140 hours worth of completionist. That game was 75 to 80% garbage. And it's just like, I'm so sick and tired of that. And I have a problem because I myself have a bit of OCD. And when I see something on the map, I have to go to it and it burns me out quick. Ubisoft games burn me out because I'm like, I got to go see what that is over there. And I like a little bit more controlled story. Like It could be open world, like Nick said, but guide me to these areas and don't fill it full of fluff, like collect 50 flags, or what was the Syndicate one? Collect 100 notes or whatever the hell you had to collect, the ungodly number of notes and stuff like that. It was cool and fun at first because it artificially expanded your game. But could you imagine if Ubisoft put out a game that's like 35 hours long because it was more linear and less garbage? How much people would be like, this is a $70 game? It's artificial inflation of game time so that people feel like they've gotten their money's worth when all you're really doing is fulfilling needless, warrantless garbage tasks in a game.
Yeah. They need to take a page from Sucker Punch, the way they did Ghost of Tsushima. Matter of fact, the way they did Fenyx Rising, the game we're supposed to be talking about, this sequel that's being canceled, they need to look at how they structured the open worldness of it, because never once did I feel like this is taken forever. Never once. And it's because there was side stuff, but it wasn't 90% side stuff. It wasn't like when I opened the map, I couldn't see the map because of all the crap sitting on top of it. They structured it really, really well. And that's one of the things I really enjoyed about it was I had the open worldness without getting lost in the open worldness. Now, all the other games are going to be just like Valhalla. They're not going to get better because Ubisoft doesn't learn. They make the same mistake and they think, you know what? We can do that again. We can make that same mistake again. I know we can do it, guys. High five. We can do this. And they're going to do it because they keep doing it. It's called Assassin's Creed, every goddamn thing. Pardon my language.
Well, but I mean, and part of the reason why I liked Immortals Fenyx Rising. I didn't love it. But part of my downfall with Fenyx Rising was it still had the Ubisoft formula. That was a 25-hour main storyline game.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right. Because it's not 140 hours completionist. It was only 61 hours. It was 25 hours worth of main storyline and 61 and a half hours worth of completion. So it wasn't as bloated as a typical Ubisoft. It felt like Ubisoft Mini in a bite-sized chunk.
Yeah.
But what drew that, in my opinion, what made that game great was the narrator and the way they could tell the story and the jokes. Because the gameplay was still the same. It was still the same concept as Assassin's Creed. It was just Greek mythology,
Yeah, it was just
which I guess Odyssey is Greek mythology too. So
true. It was just a little more. It was just more fun. There was no serious tones, and I think that's why that game carried so well. I didn't have to worry about, my daughter was murdered by the Black Knight and the Phoenix or whatever the Assassin's Creed Odyssey was or Valhalla was, whatever killed whatever. It wasn't such a depressing game. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And Ubisoft should just fire whoever keeps making these dumbass decisions, plain and simple. And by the way, get rid of your, stockholders too. Go private. So yeah, you can make good games again.
Well,
down with capitalism.
I think Nick, you got something else on this one?
There's one last thing. I think one thing that might help them with Assassin's Creed is, if they made it this, well, yeah, but I mean, if they made it the same, maybe not have, maybe make it like some other open world games where there is nothing on the map, right? You can see the map, it's open, but you don't know where anything's at, right? It's not, because when you see all those icons on the map, it almost feels like a checklist. Like I have a shopping list and I need to go through and check all the checks off. But when you have an open world map that has nothing on it, and then it's just like, there you go. Kind of think of like Elden Ring in that sense, right? Elden Ring just puts you in there and goes, have fun, and you're like, what am I supposed to be doing? And you just start walking around. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And you can go check out this or that or the other. And you learn that maybe some things you may want to check out later or whatever the case may be, right? They could do the same thing with Assassin's Creed where they don't spill a bunch of crap on the screen, but they basically just give you your assassin and just let you go, right? And then you get to uncover things, temples and treasures and things on your own accord, right? Without any help from the game whatsoever. The game doesn't hold your hand or give you a shopping list. It just lets you do whatever the hell you want. Even though Assassin's Creed doesn't let you do that, but it tells you, go climb this tower and I'll give you 20 icons you can check off, and it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Just let me go out there and experience the world as an assassin without having to go on a shopping spree.
So you want them to From Software it, huh?
Yeah, well, I
they
mean,
they don't
they
have
don't
the
need to make
skills
it-
to From Software.
they don't need to
That
make it
difficult.
difficult like that. But what if they just got rid of all the icons? You know what I'm saying? Just let you.
Yeah. I would
Go
have
out
the
there.
OCD, right? Because I wouldn't be like, I got to get all those check boxes, like you said. I
Right.
got to make sure there's a green check mark or those disappear before I feel comfortable moving on. Because I do. I spend them in games like this, and I don't know if you guys are the same way, but in games like this, I beeline all that crap in the beginning of the game, and then by the time I'm ready to hit the storyline, I'm so burnt out on the game that I'm like, this game sucks now, because I feel like I've already spent so much time playing, but really I've not been spending time playing. I've been spending time collecting garbage or completing stuff that didn't really matter, right? So
Yeah, I mean, what I usually do is climb the tower in Assassin's Creed, get the bird's view, then I see the map where it spits everything out, and I go, okay, which one I gotta complete all this. You know, that's how my brain works. Like, I'm not just going, okay, where's the story beat? I'm like, no, I gotta complete all these marks on the screen now. So which one do I start with? And let's just start going in a circle and get all these done.
and then you collect that one item like 3/4 or halfway through the game that says, oh, now I'm going to give you a map of all these mini collectibles on the map. And you're like, I cleared that area out 10, 15 hours ago. Screw you. I'm done.
Yep.
Right.
It's just like an RPG, you know. It's like, all right, I'm going to do some grinding. So when I hit this next area, you know, I've got it covered. But you end up grinding so much and doing all these side things that it's like, I'm done. I put 30 hours in this game and I don't even remember what the story was about. You know.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I think we all are kind of disappointed about the Fenyx Rising Part 2 not coming out. I mean, we enjoyed it. Shane loved it. Russ loved it. But it felt more Ubisoft to me still, but it was bite-sized Ubisoft is what it was. So that's probably why it was more enjoyable. So we would like to know, all right, we would like to know what you think. Did you enjoy Fenyx Rising? Are if the rumors are true and they were developing and now canceling Fenyx Rising 2, how do you feel about that? You know, because I think by now the three of us have beat that horse so much it's twitching massive meat by now, you know. So that horse is just twitching. You know, the Ubisoft horse is just twitching now, and it's just a massive garbage. So let us know what you think, because I mean, that's really what matters. The three of us seem to be on the same boat, but at the same time, we're just sounding off of each other at this point. So let us know what you think. How did you feel about this? Are you excited for Mirage? Are you excited for the next umpteen versions of Assassin's Creed that's in development that's going to come out over the course of the next lifetime of Ubisoft? Let us know, and if you're not subscribed, you've reached the end. Why not subscribe to help us out? Make sure you like the video, hit that bell for notifications when we put new videos out, because liking the videos helps us with the algorithm. More people get to see the videos and we can grow. We want to grow. So we want to review more games, talk about more gaming news. But we all have this thing called real life. We all have to work a job. So we'd all prefer to do this for a living, but so like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, tell everybody about us, and we hope you enjoyed this episode and we hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.